All right, you guys. So like I said, we're going to start a multi-week lead generation series. Today is just kicking it off. The last couple weeks, we've started talking about coming into the new year, mindset, activity, goals, all the things that you want to start the new year with. And like I said, we're going to switch over to a lead generations series. Hopefully it will help you guys. Not everything that we talk about in lead generation is going to be particularly something that you would want to do, but it might be something that your partners want to do. So have a broad base in terms of what you're able to talk and communicate with your partners about to help them generate leads. So today is January the 20th. We've got really low attendance today because of the inauguration. Not a big deal. This is a Wednesday at noon Eastern meeting. That's kind of an odd time. These are always recorded and they go out on social media as well as they're emailed to the partner list. Advertising, lead generation, it's what's going to birth your business. It's what's going to give it life. It's what's going to give it everything that it needs to become what you want it to become on the back end. So advertising, lead generation through personal contact, online, through events, through referrals. These are all the things that we're going to be talking about today. Really what I wanted to kick off this multi-week session is just getting you kind of thinking about old and new ways of lead generation. So you guys see all the time on online, people are raffling away maybe $100 gift card or this or that. If you're going to do this, it doesn't really matter how you create leads. It matters like what your return on investment is, what your cost of acquisition of a client is. So a good mix of old school and new school lead generation is something that you want to look at. Once this pandemic clears, people are going to want to be out and about, and some of the old school ways that may have been lessened through this digital disruption, I think that you'll have an opportunity to create and extract value out of those. So if you're going to raffle something, put something up in exchange for contact information, make it something different and cool so it can create a conversation. Internet leads. I'm not a big fan of internet leads. There are a ton of sketchy companies out there. I like to be in control of my lead generation, but if you are going to work with a lead generation company, you need to vet them. You don't ever sign contracts until you've actually, seen what they can do for you. Somebody who has something of value that can convert should have no problem getting you a little bit before you enter into any bulk buys. Outbound calls, in-house telemarketing. This is one of the greatest ways still to build your business. You never know where a conversation is going to go. Could be a partner, could be a client, it could be a bridge to something that's really going to explode your business. So remember, you don't want to sit on the phone all day. Pick a couple hours that you think are going to be the best time to call, block that, and get what you can done out of that. You just don't want this to be an all-day event where you dread going into the next day. Employee financial wellness is a huge business opportunity. We're going to be talking more about this, but think about it. If you're an owner of a business and your employee is stressed about financial matters, they're not going to be as productive in the workplace as they could. So what we can do is we can come in and we can offer a lot of education. We can offer solutions. So this is actually a benefit for the business. And when you position yourself like that, it's a lot easier to make those relationships. Crisscross directories. You guys can find lists and directories that specialize in anything that you want to find out. Once again, when you're talking to people, if you're able to help them understand why you're reaching out to them and things like, in a specific area, even though we're nationwide, you can say, hey, I'm helping a certain type of person in this area with this. So understand that if you've got one lead generation and it's producing a good amount of leads for you, that's great. But if that goes stale, it dries up, it changes, and it's not working as well, your business is going to take a big hit. If you got a lot of lead generation systems out there producing a little bit of leads, then you have a healthy marketing plan. Fish bowls. I know fish bowls are something that's old and outdated. They probably need to be digitally disrupted and updated. But this is once again, you are making relationships with business because at the end of the day, that gift certificate goes right back to the business. That's what you're giving, a gift certificate to that business. So that creates revenue and income for that business with absolutely nothing on the front end that we ask for them other than, some shelf space. New home purchases. Guys, when somebody purchases a new home, it's the biggest investment of their life. So you want to get in front of them. It's a great time. They're thinking about their future. They're thinking about the things that we need them to think about to be in a position where we can help them financially. So you can Google new homeowners list, in this red hot real estate market. There are constant transactions. It's a great place to go for lead generation. Online marketing. It's hard to find a better place to generate leads than online. Remember, this is the convergence of, the financial industry with, digital marketing, social media. This is not going to be something that, goes overnight for you. And if you can set some of this up and develop leads for your team, obviously that creates a velocity for your organization and a competitive advantage in this space as we try to take income and equity as well. Marriage engagement announcements. Once again, as people are having those life events, they're having changes in the life cycle. It's a great way to get in front of people because as we're getting married, as we're getting engaged, all of these things, we're getting more serious about life. We're getting more domesticated. These are exactly the characteristics of the potential client that we're looking for. Someone who's married of a certain age, they have kids or going to have kids, all of these things that we look for. Mailback inserts. If you just hand out stuff with a very, very short, to the point, interest gathering, interest building. For example, if somebody's got a new home and you just send out something where they can just fill out their contact information, pop it back without a stamp, then guess what? If they just bought a home and you can potentially eliminate half their mortgage payments or show them how to get 2 houses for the price of one, that's going to generate some interest. Email your clients, guys. If you did a good job with your client, the relationship really should not end at the sale. You want to check in with them, make sure everything's going well. And by doing that, that relationship strengthens and your ability to ask for referrals over time as you continue to give them, information, additional educational material, and just staying in front of them, it will help you out. So understand your clients is a great way for additional lead generation. Exchange leads with other businesses. Guys, with COVID right now and the amount of, small business hit that, everybody's experiencing right now, people are looking for ways to make things work. And if you've got a business where you guys are in maybe, a homeowner, there's multiple things that a homeowner can need. Well, then you can exchange leads with other businesses that work in that area, and it cuts down on the lead costs for everyone. And it creates almost like a co-op opportunity. Buy a list. You can have a list of anything that you want. Make sure you're dealing with a reputable company that, their data is quality data. Last thing you want to do is work through a list that's got terrible data. It's just a waste of time. So understand that this is the era of big data. You can find anything you want. And that's really what lead generation is about, is getting in front of a certain type of persona in multiple ways with the ability to help solve a problem with a solution. Hire a telemarketing company. You can hire overseas right now for $5-6 an hour. Once again, if you're buying, bulk raw data and you need somebody to whittle that raw data down to appointments, well, the best time investment you're going to make is sitting down with people who have some interest in what you're doing. You don't want to do a lot of that upfront work. Now, if you don't have the financial means to do this, you're going to have to do this until you do have the financial means. But this is a great way, like I said, to buy bulk data, have somebody else work it for a very limited cost, and get appointments set for you. Your Facebook news feed, there's always stuff going on, guys. There's, you see it's full of sales opportunities, or it's full of people having babies, getting married, buying cars, buying houses. Anything to strike up a conversation is, worthy, because what you guys have is not a niche market. You're not trying to create demand for it. You just need to let people know some of this stuff exists. Pay-per-click ads. Pay-per-click ads, are a great way to get business. Obviously, this is something that, you just don't jump into. You just don't start throwing money at this. For generating leads, it's best to send it to a squeeze page. We're working on some of this for you guys. And as soon as it's in a place that we're not testing it, we'll open it up for you. Networking events. Once again, during COVID, a lot of this stuff has ceased, but it will be coming back into the forefront of normal business activity. When you're out there networking with people, those are leads. So understand that any conversation you strike up, whether it ends in a partner, a client, a network, to somebody else, a bridge to something else that can help you, conversations can go a lot of places. Learn how to open conversations, learn how to network with people. Hook up with accountants, CPAs. These are great people. It would be optimal. The best relationship would be to bring them in so they can get paid through the grid and everybody's happy. But If that's not something they want to do, a recommendation from them is very, very powerful. So start making relationships with people that can form mutually beneficial relationships. Referral breakfast group. Once again, if you're getting in front of a bunch of entrepreneurs, and you guys are discussing business or networking, giving referrals to each other, that's going to manifest and it's going to compound on top of itself over time when you're that go-to person in a group for a particular product or service. Hire an appointment setter. Maybe you just don't want to go overseas with a telemarketing company. Maybe you actually just want a relationship one-on-one with somebody who's going to sit down and make appointments for you. Keep the hourly pay low, but give them incentives to reward them for generated leads and sales. So remember, if you're working with somebody, if they've got skin in the game to do a better job, that's how you want to structure the payout to them. And if you're making money, they're making money. Makes sense. Alumni database, college, high school, it doesn't matter. We call it the common market. Anything that you have is a loose commonality with somebody else to open a conversation. Even though it's a very loose commonality, you've never met them, it does buy you some time in that conversation to introduce the missions, what you're doing. Informational white papers. For example, I love working with small businesses. I love working with entrepreneurs. So one of the ways that I can get in front of them is give them something of value in exchange for their contact information. It's a pretty simple transaction. They get something they want. We get something we want. We have the ability to open a conversation. Facebook ads. If done correctly, Facebook ads can be a very affordable and extremely effective. Once again, you don't want to start just throwing money at this, and you don't want to offer a straight product or service. You generate giving something in exchange for their contact information, something of value, just like we talked about in the previous slide. If you're giving something of value and all they have to do is put in their contact information, it's an easy transaction for both sides. Chamber of Commerce. These are going to be going both more virtually and digitally, but also the old school Chamber of Commerce will be coming back. Meetings will be going back in full force before you know it. So Chamber of Commerce is a great way to network with people, get the contact list, open up conversations. Remember, if you've got something that's really going to solve a problem and it's really going to be life-changing for people, then you want to be confident out there because you realize in a situation like this, the most contacts wins. Cell phone camera, as you're out and about, if you see something, for example, a real estate agent with this thing on the side of their car, take a picture, a storefront, and then send it back. Say, hey, I saw your car, I saw your storefront, wanted to ask you a couple questions about your business. All of these are just opening conversation, guys. Cross promotional events. Throwing events can be expensive. If you team up with somebody else and split the cost, then obviously it's less expensive for you. And what you get back out of that, your return, is better because you have limited the expense side up front. LinkedIn ads. We've talked about the fact that LinkedIn right now, you can do a lot of damage organically because they haven't reached scale like Facebook. But you can also go into the LinkedIn advertising and, generate leads. If you can target people by their job, what they're looking for, send traffic to a squeeze page and understand that all you're trying to do really is gather contact information for conversations, the ads can be very, very effective. Real estate agents. Real estate agents is one of the people in what we call our suit persona that we want to work with. Obvious reasons. Real estate agents can be a big source of lead generation for you. Obviously the best way would be to bring them in, but if that's not going to happen, then form some type of other networking relationship where you guys are giving each other something of value that you both want. Get more X dates. In other words, build that pipeline of things that are not now, but sometime in the future. So I want to help you with your money, but only when it's important to you. Build that pipeline of people that are in kind of like a holding pattern. You're going to have an appointment with them, but it hasn't really been defined, and continue to follow up and see if you can get those people nailed down. Host a webinar. Once again, offering valuable information. If you bring value to the marketplace, people will ask, or people will do what you ask. And if you're asking for contact information, if you're asking for lead generation, if you've done a good job, you usually get a good number of leads for that. It's especially useful with Money Matters because it's easy to develop educational content that can really help people. Lost customers. In other words, if you've lost a customer, it didn't go right, you can always go back to some of those and revisit some of those people and some of those lists to see what's left there, because things change. Obviously, you guys know from January of 2020 to January 2021, a lot's changed. A lot can change in 3, 6, 9, 12 months. So revisit some of this stuff. If you've done your job on the front end, you lost it in some way, you can regain it, and that's revenue recaptured. Search engine optimization. If you want to be seen, you got to rank, right? Well, this is not something that you're going to find immediate overnight success. This is about building a brand. If you really don't know what you're doing as you start to make money in this company, you can hire an expert to help you. And then once again, if people are on Google, they're looking with intent. They're searching for certain stuff. They're not like browsing on Facebook or other social media platforms. They're on there for a specific reason. New business registration websites. There have never been more new businesses started coming out of COVID. So what you want to have the opportunity to do is find out who's opening business. I'm not sure if all 50 states, but most should have a website that displays every new business that gets registered. So understand that if your persona on the client side, circles around and centers around small business, entrepreneurs, it's a great place to go to get talking to people about their new business, what they do. Remember, you build interest in what you do by showing interest in what other people are doing. Buy old leads. If somebody's got a mortgage company, they might not have value for leads that are 12, 24 months old on a refinance. But guess what? Those could be something, that raw data that you can have a telemarketing company or appointments setter really whittle that down into bona fide appointments that you can really invest some time in and get a return. Referral kit for clients. We're always asking for referrals, and we do that in a pretty good way by, basically asking them, who else do you care about that you think needs to know some of this information? However, if you're asking for referrals, you can also build a referral kit. You want to make sure that people are constantly in the forefront of their mind as they're having conversations, talking, and interacting day to day. When something comes up that you could help them with, you want them to remember you and have stuff to give out. Host seminars. Once again, during the COVID pandemic, this has been something that's really not been going on a lot, but it will be in the near future. So once again, if you're inviting people and you're giving them good value and you're putting out a little bit of food, then you should be able to generate leads. And this is something that I've never done I've been doing virtual financial services agencies since 2015 or so. I might host some seminars, just get out of the house. We're all stir crazy. This will be stuff that maybe will have more value coming out of the pandemic than it did before. Job change notifications. Remember, on LinkedIn, you're always getting those notifications. Remember, you want to congratulate people before you go in addressing any changes you could be able to assist them with. Q&A websites, Reddit, Cura. People are always asking questions, getting feedback. If you can be somebody that can go on those sites and offer valuable information, answer those questions, and then streamline them down to pages or landing pages, websites, forms, whatever it might be for lead generation, that's another way you can as well. Alumni groups. Once again, we talked about this before, college, high school. If anybody's got alumni groups, it's the common market. It's a very loose commonality, but it does build you 60, 120 seconds to go in there and start talking with them about what they do. Remember, don't just go in pitching, selling, recruiting. You want to go in there asking questions about them. Well, it's really the 6-foot rule right now, but it'll go back to the 3-foot rule. You need to learn to talk about what you do. It's important. If you don't think it's important, then you're not going to find success here. It's very, very important what we do. And once you start to realize that and digest it, it's a lot easier to start talking to people about what you do. Donations for assessments. You could team up with a charity and say, hey, everybody you guys send me, every homeowner that you send me that I can sit down with, $10 for every assessment towards the charity. If your appointment with a bona fide homeowner who's in your persona for $10, guys, you can't beat that. So think differently. This is your business. How do I create lead generation? How do I network with other business owners? How do I get in front of charities that can do something that's mutually beneficial for both of us? Twitter monitoring. There's tools on Twitter that basically you can look for people complaining, discussing, or mentioning whatever within an X mile radius and engage them in conversation with a direct message. All of this stuff, guys, is just trying to get your creative juices flowing on how you can create leads and how you can teach your partners create leads. Free small business consulting. If you've, been an entrepreneur for a while and you know what you're talking about, offer free small business consulting to people. A lot of people are getting into new businesses. They have questions. And once again, you've got valuable information. They'll have no problem talking to you. And the chances are you'll create that relationship, and it might not have a direct, immediate impact on your business, but by networking and opening up conversation, who knows where it's going to go. Social media groups for alumni. Once again, it's very easy to target people online that went to the same schools you did, same civic groups, previous employers, whatever it might be. LinkedIn is a great place for you to go on and really target some of those people and open up conversations. Project 100, if you guys have your agencies being built and you've got a good group of people in there, the super brain mentality where you guys are all honed in on one thing, make it a little competition. See, how much lead generation can come through the agency over X period of time. Turn mundane daily tasks into games. Ask people if they're happy. Guys, this is one of the easiest ways to strike up conversations, just checking on people, seeing if they're doing okay, seeing if they're happy financially. Most people are not. And if you're not selling something right off the tops, if you're giving away education, if you're giving away assessments, savings reports, financial needs analysis, whatever you're doing, just asking people if they're happy can strike up a lot of conversation. Lost sales. Do you ever get to the point where you were down to the sale part and you lost it and the person wants to think it over and then you haven't really made contact with them? Remember, if they sat with you, there was a need. You probably had a solution that fit for them, but for whatever reason, it didn't just go through. So now you want to revisit some of those and find out, what percentage of those lost sales you can rake back in. Your family. This is very, very important, not for selling stuff to your family, but for getting them behind what you do. Once again, we're a mission-based and driven company. If your family really understands, if you sit down and explain to them what you're doing, ask for their help. Make sure your family is well educated about all that you do and the types of clients that you're looking for. If you ask people for help, and they get behind, they understand what you're doing, the better you can teach your family to refer, the more leads that you can get. Annual client reviews. If you've already got clients on the books, don't forget about them. Don't lose sight of them. Go back to them. Make sure they're meeting their goals. Make sure everything's okay. Offer every one of your customers an annual review. And during that review, it's an excellent time to get some referrals. Mortgage brokers, like real estate agents. This is right up the alley of who we're looking for. They're a lot like financial services brokers in the sense that they're both limited mostly by the number of leads they can get their hands on. So it makes sense to work with mortgage brokers, either bring them into the company or develop some type of relationship with them where they're getting something in return. Be a guest speaker. David and I are going on the radio today. Anytime that you have an opportunity to go on a podcast or something, if it makes sense for your business, go ahead and do that. Get yourself out there, get your name out there, and take advantage of these things. Don't be shy about getting out there and marketing yourself. Entrepreneur groups. Put a bunch of aspiring entrepreneurs together, and guess what? What do you have? You got a room full of leads. I love working with entrepreneurs on both the partner and the client side of my business. I speak their language. This is perfect. Start a blog, whether it's a career blog, a business blog, a money blog, whatever it might be, that will attract certain types of people to you. Once again, if you're offering value in the marketplace, it's not hard to ask for contact information on the other side. Establish lead generation goals. Remember, everything needs a goal, guys. You can't just go in and just try something and not really have it dialed down. You need to have data-driven decisions, and those data-driven decisions come from goals and activity. It's a common mistake to set goals based on sales. What you want to do is start setting goals around activities, lead generation. It will definitely help you.
Nobody from Social Security calls anybody. So you know what? To do this on the inauguration of the new president of this country, you're nothing but a scammer and a thief and a liar.
Okay, guys. I had to mute somebody out for a minute. Facebook friend's birthday. Remember, if people are out there and they're having these events, well, you can get in front of them before their event. Say, hey, I saw your birthday's coming up next week. Just want to wish you a happy birthday. Just get conversations open, guys. If you learn how to get conversations open and you learn how to ask questions, you will get information that uncovers problems that you can offer solutions and action steps for. It's not a hard pyramid to understand. Once you master what you're doing here, very, very easy. Lead generation contest. So once again, if you're taking these mundane daily tasks and you're kind of putting new twist on those, lead generation contest in your agency can really help people step up. Any type of competition from within will always help. Get in your client's cell phones. What does this mean? That means be a contact in their cell phone and be able to describe in the cell phone what you're good for, what you do, what you can help out with. You know, people who don't have your information handy are less likely to refer leads to you. Makes sense, right? So when they're walking around, they're having those conversations and some of this stuff comes up, if they're in your phone and they're, you know, with the right kind of information, then it can be passed along very, very easily. Lead nurturing process. Remember, you know, different leads require different approaches. Develop a process that nurtures the relationship. Remember, you might not get down to a product or a service until the second or third conversation. So understand what you're doing. Understand that not everything's going to have an immediate impact, but as that pipeline builds, understand that what you're doing is creating a trickle of what's going to be revenue, income, and growth for you as that gets bigger and bigger. And then guys, coming next week, we're going to really dive down into lead generation, online, in person, all these things that we went over generally today. We're going to dive down in deep and we're going to help you guys form some action plans so you understand how to generate leads, what those leads are coming in terms of the numbers, how they convert, and what that means to you on the back end in terms of revenue, what that's costing you for cost of acquisition, what your return on investment in. Remember, if you're going to spend $1,000 on marketing and it returns you $4,000 or $5,000 in revenue and income, that's a good deal. Making emotional decisions, just throwing money at things is never going to work. We're going to work hard with you guys this year, data-driven decisions, because that's how you grow and that's how you scale a business. So I know we kind of ran through this today. We're going to cut the recording off right now.